Hello, watchers. I am back after 3 weeks, maybe almost a month. And yeah, big long delay because I moved from one house to another, from one side of Portugal to the other. Finally, all settled in. Took a while. And let's see if I can remember what the heck I was doing last time. So there's the show of the latest thing. Grinding my way through the remote synchronization, the remote replication, and some of it was, we got some of it rewritten, but we have a lot to go. This is everywhere we see this rewrite now. I just fired this up, so let's see what happens if we just go into it. Pretty sure we're always looking at this script with General Hospital and line sets, and they're being displayed. And oh yes, we've got to get the the actual line set audio downloaded, and we've set up for that, but it's not quite there yet, is it? Downloading. Now I'm starting to remember. Right, we got the pop-up working. Does it ever stop? It's supposed to stop. Just keeps going. Are we on a breakpoint? Doesn't look like we're on a breakpoint. Oh, we're not actually debugging, are we? Is this running? Are we debugging? Actually, let's start this up again. Pre-planning, 1800, da-da-da-da. Let's see how long it takes for my mind to re-engage what I was doing. I'm in Swift. I'm on a Kotlin Multiplatform project. It's Rehearsal Pro. We're doing line scene line set replication. Are my breakpoints disabled? Let's take a look. To do breakpoints, this little guy there, right? Nope, that's bookmarks. Never remember what these icons are. Okay, it looks like breakpoints are enabled. Some are disabled. The ones that are disabled are usually ones that I've satisfied I don't need activated at this time. This is the last place I was. I've got breakpoints here. Start sync line set. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to get into here because it should know that we don't have everything we need from the remote, right? This breakpoint sitting inside the completion. Let's just put a breakpoint here and see if we get there. Okay, let's try again, line sets. Okay, who's calling us? Where are we coming from? This is a good test to see how readable this code is, you know, being out of context, not remembering everything. I mean, it's not like it's the most unfamiliar code I've ever seen, but let's back up from where we're getting called. Okay, start to sync the line set. I disabled this or deactivated this breakpoint because I was satisfied it was working. Let's actually put the breakpoint back on there so we can back up to where we are. This is one of the problems with async is the call stack, not being able to kind of figure out everywhere you came from. Sometimes with the way closures are written, you can kind of see where that is, but obviously this got tossed into the event loop. What do we call dispatched on the main queue? And so we don't really know at this point who called us. But this is about as high up as we need to know. I clicked on it. This is UI code, table view. We tap the line set reader. We go inside here. Why do we start the sync? Because we got an if condition. If we started, that's right, that's what the logic here is. If we actually began syncing, that's what this is. If start line sync set, if we didn't start, then we didn't need the line sync and we fall through to simply updating the view with all the current state that we have. But if we started, then this is going to bail out, right? This is a UI handler. It's basically a click handler. And it's not going to try to advance on to change the view and to redisplay anything until it's completely till the replication is synchronized. And if we have to start a synchronization, then we're not good yet, and that's why there's a return here. But more importantly, when we go into the start sync line set, this is where we go into, okay, now we're delegating over to, now I'm starting to remember, we delegated over to the shared facade, which is the Kotlin side of things. We pass the script ID, we pass the creation date. It initiates the logic, the handshake with the back end, and upon completion, we'll end up here with the notification that we either replicated or we didn't replicate. So we're not stepping into, well, I guess it would be interesting to see if we could step into this. I don't think we can, though. Don't think we have. Well, let's step into it and see what happens. We're going to call the facade first, obviously, so it'll step there. See how far past Swift code we get. There's the facade. Here's what we call, we go from an Objective-C compatible class necessary if we're called from Objective-C into a freestanding top-level Swift function, which is here. And down here is when we actually call out to Kotlin. The KT is a dead giveaway. Actually, this is replacing the mutant. We're going to call it right here. We don't need this breakpoint. Don't think we're going to get much further past this with the debugger. Obviously, it's setting up all the arguments that it's passing. There's the completion handler, which calls the other completion handler passed in. This is a lambda wrapped around it because we have to do a conversion. I remember this. This was a problem with the Kotlin bool isn't exactly the same as a Swift bool. Kotlin bool is an Objective-C generated Objective-C class. So we had to wrap it here to do a type conversion. But otherwise, it's the completion handler that we saw back here, all the way back here. All right, this is making sense. And we go into Kotlin and see what happens. No. Came back right away because the Kotlin side actually spins off a bunch of asynchronous stuff. Let's take a look at it. It's been a while. Let's bring up Android Studio. Well, I don't have to I'll bring up Android Studio, whatever. At some point, I'm going to ideally try to set myself up to get out of being tied down to these IDEs. Really would prefer to do it from my own editing environment using either Vim or Emacs, which I haven't switched over to yet. I'm willing to give up all the conveniences of the IDE, not to be straitjacketed into it. I mean, it's annoying enough to have to swap back and forth between Android Studio and Xcode. I think the Kotlin Multiplatform people, obviously JetBrains, they're trying to do what they can so that you can do most of it from Android Studio and don't have to go to Xcode. This literally, you can build the iOS version from here. You can see right there, and it's going to invoke Swift compilation, Xcode build tools at the command line. But seriously, and of course, so much of this code, the original legacy code is still written in Objective-C and Swift. So I'm not getting away from this anytime soon. Somebody doing greenfield Kotlin multi-platform, where there's a minimal amount of Apple-specific code, could probably get away with just using Android Studio. But most likely you're going to have to go to Xcode. And one of the most reviled IDEs from what I see people talking about on the internet. People do not like Xcode. I understand. I did something here to make the font bigger, but if I remember correctly, the keystroke in Xcode and the keystroke in Studio and the keystrokes in Vim are all different. Let's see if I can just increase the font size. Yeah, there we go. It's actually increased font size in all editors. That is a Control-Shift-period on my MacBook Pro M116. Control-Shift-period. Boom, 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 boom. Hopefully that makes it for the watchers more readable. What do we call? We call app replication, replicate line set. App replication, replicate line set. This is where the rewrite is needed. Okay. I see all this commented out stuff. Swift code copied over that is pending rewrite into Kotlin, because the goal here was to move as much of this replication logic onto the Kotlin side so it could be shared between platforms. And I began doing that. Need let. So as we're running this, I can't exactly set a breakpoint here when it's executing that's going to get handled by Xcode. So when we came in here, what happened? I probably have some printf sandwiches in here somewhere. Yep, I remember all this. Something about showing the, I'm calling the HUD, but really it's the progress indicator. That's that spinner. Spinner, well, that's an overloaded term. That's the spinning dots showing progress. Right, we implemented that as a platform function. Present info dialog, error. Oh, this is the case in which there's an error. And if there's not an error. Yeah, it looks like I'm passing in a couple of closures here. Lambdas, closures. Closure is a lambda that has access to side effectful data that it encloses. I reserve the word lambda for what actually functions. So this is a closure. Although that's not the way it's not the way Lisp and Scheme talk about it. They use lambdas for procs, which are side effectful, and they are closures. All right, we'll just stick to closures. That's what Swift calls them anyway. Remote post, platform functions. Oh, this is a network call, isn't it? That's right. That was the last thing I did. I actually make the network call from the Kotlin side, delegating over to the iOS code. It's all coming back to me. iOS app platform. I think I have a remote post. There we go. Yeah, okay. So we're actually just making network calls from here. I remember I was looking at code on the side, and there was some redundant. I mean, I obviously could just rewatch the video, but I'm going to try to do this from recalling it. I do not recall, Senator. Remote posts, right? There was Objective-C code and there was Swift code that were both doing network calls. They look somewhat the same, mostly the same, but a little bit different. And I think I chopped this out of the RS Network Manager, which is the Swift one. Anyway, we're doing a post to a URL. We're passing some parameters. We get success or failure. Closures are passed in. Callbacks. Always got to have new names for everything. Continuation passing style. CPS. These are the two different continuations, success and failure. Callbacks. And a callback over here, if it succeeds, it gets rid of the progress indicator. I should really rename that the HUD. The HUD. And then it does a subsequent post to get the scene list. Oh, it doesn't do the post. This was a stopgap. Actually pop up a dialog saying, I'm going to do a post. Oh no, I'm showing the result of it. That's what this is. Yeah, see, I get a result. I get the dictionary. Actually, in both cases, I think I should, okay, I get a dictionary or I get an error string. It's kind of an optional sort of, not done as cleanly as an optional, right? Because I'm passing two different callbacks here. So the success callback expects a response, which is something, and an error in the case of failure, which is something. The status looks like the status is lost. Response. Oh, okay. These are wrappers. The wrapper closures around these closures that are passed in. Right. Because this is declared on the Kotlin side, and Kotlin Multiplatform is going to translate these closure types to compatible ones over here. So I know what it looks like over here because I'm looking at it. So at mutant dictionary, so we get back a dictionary. And dictionary on the Swift side, just their dictionary type, gets translated to the map of string any's, right? Yes, that's what this is. This is the dictionary type, map string any. I guess I could just type def it to be consistent, but that's what I would have done in the past. I would have abstracted everything behind type names and type aliases, ostensibly on the theory that you only have to redefine it once. But this actually shows us the concrete type that's in play. So imagine if I said line set is dictionary, which is not a Kotlin type, right? I would have created a type alias called dictionary, which tells us this. Then I wouldn't be able to see the concrete type without looking at that definition. But the idea is that for change management, if I want to change the type in one place, I would change it in one place and it would automatically be taken care of everywhere. But if I change the type signature, it's going to affect every line of code that has to deal with that type in a statically typed language or even in a dynamically typed language. So it doesn't really save you time and trouble. So I'm starting to back away from that. I think aliasing, in the past, I would have aliased everything behind abstract types, type defs, classes, subclasses. Really came from the whole world of trying to objectify and abstract everything and get away from being dependent on specific concrete representations. I'm not sure it really helped. Maybe there's a middle ground somewhere. In this case, I'm going to stick the concrete representation. Map string any. It's short enough. We know what we're dealing with. Okay. Lecture over. Lecture to self. Well, let's just let this fly. So if it succeeds, we should see this pop-up dialog. If it fails, we should see an error. And when I ran it before, we got nothing, meaning it was going out to the back end and nothing was coming back. So it looks like our post was not completing, right? We should, actually, I could put breakpoints here because this is what's getting called. And obviously I had a breakpoint here. It's delete breakpoint. I just disabled it. So let's just continue on. Return. I did start to sync. Yes. I think the post is thrown into, it's asynchronous. It's thrown into the dispatch. It's dispatched to the main queue. We don't need this breakpoint. We are only interested if we get back to this breakpoint, which is after synchronization is done. So from now on, we're never gonna get here until we're fully synced. That should be the logic here. Continue. Okay, there's the pop-up. And we're not hitting any breakpoints. Why not? We're gonna time out. And we're gonna get a timeout from the back end. No, we're not gonna get a timeout from the back end because the post was never sent. We never hit this. So what happened? Here's replicate line set. Here's the present the HUD. If not If we're not the same, this is where we're going to do the post. So this must be false, meaning we are the same. And we do nothing. That's where we're at. We're here. We've done nothing, and we haven't removed the progress dialog. Because in theory, we're still doing the work. Okay. Yeah, we're here. We must be here. Which does nothing, simply returns true that we started synchronizing, right? That's where we come all the way back. All right, so we don't need this. Let's get rid of that. All right, this just got us back to where we were. Understanding what we were doing. I don't think we need that. We'll get rid of that. The shared facade, I don't need to look at it right now. I'm going to leave this guy here. Okay. Actually, we don't really need this. All right. So the HUD's, while the HUD's up, all the other UI should be disabled. So that's one thing that's important about the call it a spinner, but I don't want to use that word because Android UI uses the word spinner for a dropdown. I don't know why they called it spinner. People think of spinning definitely when they think of something like this. It's the idea of like, you know, those time date controls where you flip them. But it was a terrible name for a UI element. Okay. So it looks like we're going to be working mostly on the Kotlin side. Implement analyzing the lines themselves. That's okay. So I'm going to have to look at the original. So I have two sets here. Doing this in an else here. Huh. God, I hate these large if-else blocks. I guess cut and pasting the Swift code in here isn't providing a lot of clarity. I have to look at the original Swift function. I think it was called download. What was it called? I think it's in line scene synchronizer. Yeah, it's this guy. Yeah. At some point, we're going to get down to, yeah, see the end if. I disabled all this code. At some point, we're going to get down to the actual audio file itself. The download line set replaced by JSON rewrite. Yeah, I'm not even calling this anymore. This entire method has been effectively replaced by this over here. Yeah, see, get scene list for script. That's happening here. Get scene list. Okay, so that part's been replaced. Script scenes, count of download requests, count common download error string. Cloud line set, cloud modified. This is the comparing of the dates. This is where we do this is where we determine that we're in sync or we're not based on date comparisons, what the remote has and what the local has. Lines to delete. Okay, this is the typical kind of replication logic. If stuff's been removed on one side and not on the other, it has to get removed. This is why generalizing replication logic is so important, because the bespoke versions here, this is a lot of clunky code. Right? Removing children or elements of containers of things that In this case, the container is that, and another domain type, the container is different, but the logic is the same, right? Children were created, children were added, children were modified, children were deleted, and those collections have to be synchronized. And I'm sure that over here you can see line scene synchronizer. This is bespoke. It's done for a specific, it's a lot of generalized comparison and update and copy logic for a specific type. So here's the audio updates themselves, audio modified date, right? And over here, when I do a comparison of domain replication same, I am comparing the audio modified date, and now it's matching, which it shouldn't. It shouldn't match. So it should have come in here. Let's look at the domain replication same. This is just comparing the parent object without cascading down. Here's where we say domain line set replicate, the replica same. This is where we actually go into the, yeah. You can see why replication is a big deal. It's a lot of complex logic in any application when you decide to replicate state across a network. Yeah. I don't have this on here. I don't need that. Let's get rid of that. Breaker, don't need that. Got a lot of stuff open here I don't need. My element, user info. Oh, this app value. I don't need user info. Keep the rest of this stuff up here. Back to replication. So let me just walk through this logic again. Replicate line set. I go through and I say, is the domain line replica the same? If it is, I'm out of here. I'm not replicating. False, I'm not doing it. I obviously don't get there because this HUD gets presented. We saw it. So here is where I'm saying, if the top level object itself is not the same, I have to do this, right? This is the one that doesn't cascade down. Domain line set replica same. Domain replication same. So this is generalized for any domain object. Has the same properties at the top level. This is specific to domain line set. This calls the top level to say, generically, we have these two attributes at the top level, but we need to cascade down into our children, our set lines. We fold through there and we check to see if the domain line scene replicas are the same. If they're not, then we are not completely replicated. All right, so domain line scene replica same. Line scene is going to be up here because I put everything into, I put everything here into alphabetical order, easier to find that way. And here again, I compare at this level itself. So typical domain object plus, I say, look, I'm looking for two more attributes with audio suffix to them, right? That's what we're looking for, a suffix. So these are the generic non-suffixed attributes that are in every domain object that has a replica. But in addition, on line scenes, we have ones that say audio. And we're comparing those. This is when we establish it, we're actually creating these additional audio ones. Okay, all right, this makes sense. I get it. So we didn't get past this. So the complete comparison failed to be equal, to be the same. But the top is the same. So when we cascade down, that's where the inside the line, from the line set to the line scenes, needs to be moved to this logic. So there's a bunch of stuff copied here which needs to get moved down, I think. All right, so going back. Right. I remember the last time I ran that, this is what ran, and this is where we actually got the scene list. Okay. So this all needs to get moved down. So really the else logic is up here. It's good. Oh, actually, let's copy both of these. Oh, wait a minute. Something's not right here. Yeah, implement analyzing lines. Oh, okay. This is where I'm confused. Oh, this has to happen in both cases. Classic. Yeah, this is a classic sort of imperative asynchronous control flow that you see, right? There's logic up here that says, look, something's not what I need to take an asynchronous network call action. But when that finishes, I'm going to need to continue on and do something. If I didn't need to do it, I still need to do the thing. So this needs to happen in both places. And the thing needs to happen is really the logic in here, I believe. Yeah, this is all the line scene, break it down stuff. Okay. So the typical thing to do would be to just make it a separate function. So replicate line set is going to become replicate line scene. Right? Line scenes. Yeah. Because there's no way I can just fall through from here to logic down here. Or can I? Well, sure I can. Well, no. No. This is a closure that's passed into this network call. So this is a continuation that happens after the completion of the network call. This is a continuation that happens before even making the call because we don't need to make that call. So yeah, it has to be encapsulated as its own function. Yep. Well, let's put it in alpha order. So we'll put it up here. Actually, let's just dupe this whole thing. And here's where we're going to get into that thing about, well, the spinner's not started. Now we're going to start it. So yeah, so I think we we dupe this whole thing and these long functions. But the alternative to long functions is a lot of little functions, and you still have to mentally walk through all the logic, whether you see it all in one place or broken up into pieces. All right, so we're going to call this, I think we're doing this mixed case, line scene. It's inconsistent. Are we calling it line scene? Lowercase, mixed case? Line scene. Yeah, the line set is like it's one word and line scene is 2 words. I think I have to change line set from being not critical, obviously, but it's annoying. Okay. So we've just duped this whole thing. And that's pretty ugly. But what we know we're going to do is we're going to get rid of all this from here. So we can see this kind of together. Let's just get rid of all that. Yes. And we copied this too, because this is also a continuation past that. So really what we want is to say, replicate line scene. We are going to use the @mutant. We are going to pass in the same completion handler that we were, because we're not completed yet. We're still doing more. So in this case, we're not calling completion, we're passing it in, which is going to be exactly the same call here with the same set of parameters. Now, when I have an if-else block where the bulk of the work, you know, the if branch versus the else branch, if the else branch is small, I tend to invert it and put the else branch at the top. It's just easier to read, because otherwise you're up here scrolling like, where's the else, and by the time you get to the else, you kind of forgot the logic at the top. So the downside is we're going to see this call and this call, which are pretty much going to be identical in 2 places. What would be nice is if I wrap this into its own closure and just pass it down. So this is what I'm talking about. Let's invert the logic like that. So if we're the same, we need to look at our children. Otherwise, we are at the top, and we need to deal with that. All right. So here's the call to. This is kind of the child replication function. So now we're going to say replicate line scene, passing pretty much almost identical. It's just to continue. It's just to delegating, subcalling, calling sub. It's not really. Wait a minute, what's going on here? Oh, yeah. I just moved that up. Okay, yeah. So replicate line scene. Don't know what we want yet, but we're going to pass in the same completion handler. It's a single completion handler. Yeah. And that's pretty straightforward. I don't think we necessarily need that into a closure and a closure. We're not calling the completion handler. I think we're good with this. Yeah, condenses it down. That looks good. Okay. Yes, this is making sense. Okay. Success handler, error handler. On the success handler, we're shuttering the HUD even though we're delegating into here. So we don't want to shutter the HUD. Because we're still downloading. We don't want to shutter the HUD. We want to shutter the HUD on an error. Oh, this is exactly. This was just a debug. That's just a debug, so we don't need this. We're not presenting an info dialog here. We're delegating down. We're not shuttering the HUD. Oh, even better. Look at that. That's what I like. This is looking good. Yes, a little bit cleaner. Okay, so we have the dictionary. We don't need a let because there we go. So probably does the dictionary need to be passed in? What did we get? We got the scene list. I think we need an assignment here. I don't think replicate line scene is sufficient here. Let's take a look at our domain object for line set. Our domain data structure. It's not here. Where is it? Oh, it's not a structure. It's literally just a dictionary. Right. Oh, here. Okay, so here we're on the cusp of going from core data to pure dictionaries. So in the core data type, the JSON, the collection of line scenes is a core data relationship. So this is all the top level attributes of lines. Actually, this is line scene. I'm looking at line scene. Where's line set? Here we go. No, here it is, lines, TL, lines. So inconsistent in naming lines versus line scenes. It's the same thing. Lines and line scenes is the same thing. Okay, yeah, there we go. Domain set lines. Yeah. This is a problem with inconsistent naming. It gets very confusing. So what I get back on this post becomes the value assigned to TL here in the list. Establish replica. So I need to produce a new line set that gets updated. This is weird though. Why wouldn't this already be there? That's very odd. Huh. Modified date, line set name. There's not much in the line set. It literally is just this collection of lines. I mean, we're looking at it right here. We've got a modified date, we've got a creation date, we've got lines, we've got a sort number, we've got a display name. It's pretty minimal. But this JSON we should already have. I mean, it pulls down all of the metadata. So why do I make this subsequent post? Why was this post needed? This post was needed not because it didn't have the lines, it was because it thinks the top level is out of date. So the lines it gets back need to be, really it's getting back the entire line set, isn't it? I'm confused. Why would this be out of date? Domain replication, same. this post that we're doing here replace the one over here. This get scene list for script. Why does it need to do that if it already has it? I'm a little confused here. Scene list. This is a separate call from the normal give me the line set. Why? I'm guessing it doesn't get the scene list when it pulls the line set down. Why do we have to make a separate call? Get scene list. It's its own call. Let's take a look. Let's take a look at the actual data coming. I don't really have good diagnostics on back and forth from the back end, so I'm just going to have to rely on the debugger for that. It'd be nice to have some better tracing. There was a lot of tracing spam going on, but I think I'll just put I'll put a breakpoint on where it gets called. Right, so this isn't working yet. It's going to need to be working. Maybe I should just stash this. And yeah, I think I'm going to stash this and just, yeah, let's just stash it. Let's clear the stash first. All right, we just lost everything we did, but that's fine. It's in the stash. I needed to diagnose the actual network calls that are happening. And in order to do that, I'm going to clear the user data here. So really just delete it. Just delete. Move out. Delete out. Just get rid of all the user data. We're going to start from scratch. And we want to see is when we originally get the original JSON for the script, I want to see what we actually get. This guy here. Yeah. Parse line sets. Oh, this stuff's all a mess. Well, this is code I added in case there was a glitch. This is stuff I added. Remote line set. Yeah. Okay. That's what we want to do. Let's just do some diagnosis here. Right. So we're completely scratch. We wiped out our user data, full access, allow. See if I can remember my password, log in. Do I want you guys to see my stuff? You don't know my password. Actually, you know what? I'm going to pause this. Have I showed you my login before? Probably not the best idea. Let's pause it. I'll be back. Okay, I'm back. So we can see there it's saying syncing your scenes. Should be an H in this sync. Mutable line set. So this is going to show me, this is going to grab, it's kind of going to, I have a lot of stuff. It's kind of going to grab everything. Let's just go ahead and do that. Let's let it do that. So otherwise I'm going to be sitting here at breakpoints on every single one of these. What I really want is the breakpoint. No, I don't want to save my password. My scripts. Before I click here on the actual script, see, it's not downloaded, but it has the metadata. I bet it has the metadata, but when we go to download this, well, I think the synchronization is just getting the top level info. I don't think it's, I don't think we're getting the full thing. Obviously, we don't have a breakpoint there. That doesn't make any sense. We don't need multiple breakpoints here. Parse line sets in context. Not sure that's what I'm looking for. Yeah, this is where we do it. Yeah, this is where we store it. Okay, so at this point, we're going to have the JSON for sure, because this is where we actually store it, the local. Line set, yeah. This is the breakpoint that I want. I just want to see all the JSON that I have. So I don't need that. I need that. Okay. Should hit this breakpoint when I go into it. When I click on the line sets, it's not synchronized. We got nothing. Yeah, this is a problem. Right now, as I've been rewriting this, I'm not making a specific call to fetch this, fetch the JSON for this script. I'm relying on the general synchronizer to take care of it. And it's obviously not doing that, which is weird. Because at some point it's going to pick this up. At some point it's going to run the synchronizer to pick it up. But it ain't doing it right now. So let's restart and see what happens. See? What I was saying. My scene synchronizer. Oh God, this is it's just layered throughout here. Parse, save servers. This is why you have to continually condense the complexity of your code. Because if you just keep writing more code, the complexity just spirals out of control. It's almost like there should be a rule. Every line of code you add, you have to subtract somewhere else. I mean, obviously, you can't build up features with a net zero gain in code count, but you can see how, in your mind, so much of this fetching and grouping and replication logic that's just kind of spread throughout this code base could be condensed down, could be reduced and simplified. But when you're building features and not thinking about maintenance or deferring the burden of maintenance until later, this is where you end up. And this is what just drive to feature development gets you. Get nice features in an app quickly, and then over the life of that app, you then have to maintain all the code that was thrown in there to support these features. And rewrites like these or major fixes become an incredibly time-consuming challenge. And what usually happens? People give up on the maintenance side and say, let's just rewrite it. Because sometimes it's easier to just blitzkrieg a whole bunch of new feature-driven code with all of this spread out all over the place, and it is to go back in and tighten this stuff up. But my job here is to port this to the platform and tighten it up in the process. Oh, I'm taking a different approach. All right. Anyway, what do we got? File spec, script ID, local line set. Okay, what does this look like? This is a dictionary. Are we going to get a nice dictionary view here? Are we just going to get, oh God, I hate this. I think this is one of the reasons why people just really don't like Xcode, particularly for debugging, right? This is Objective-C code. Okay, fine. It's the old language, not the new language. But Xcode's been around for a long time, pre-Swift. And this tells me nothing. I'm looking at this object, and it's this deferred dictionary native Swift, but I want to see the content. Where's the content? Show me the content. Oh, did I have to click on the correct button? Nothing. I got nothing. I literally have to put a printf sandwich in here just to see what this is. Local line set's a dictionary. Why can't you tell me what's in here? I think I have to do a P, right? Look at how great this debugger is. I think I have to come down here and say P, print, right? We're at the LLVM debugger, which is what they're sitting on top of. And I've got to let this guy try to parse it, but it's probably not going to tell me much either. Local line set. And since this is Objective-C, I probably have to, I got to put Objective-C syntax in there. Probably have to prefix it with the asterisk because it's a pointer. Again, nothing. I know there's an object in there that's a dictionary, that there's stuff in there, but I can't see it. Right? There's something in here that I can't see. Now, since I'm delegating this to Swift code, I bet once I'm in the Swift code, the debugger will do what I want it to do. Right? That's what we've seen before. So let's go to app platform. Here's where we actually store it as a file. So we're going to come in here. The string is S. Right? Look at that. Let data equal S data using UTF. This is the big block of stringified JSON. This is what I want to see. I can't see it from where I am. So let's go to here. Now let's see if S is visible. Yeah, see, now I can see it. So the debugger is useless. I mean, it's not showing me as JSON, it's showing me as a string, but there we go. I can at least see it as a string. Okay, so that's what I was looking for. It's these TLs. Sorry, the font's really tiny, not my choice. Oh, open with Mac Vim. Oh, look at that. Let's do a wrap. Set wrap. Okay. How about, let's replace all the carriage returns. Everywhere there's a //n. Let's put an actual /n. That didn't work. No, what do I need to do? I need to line wrap this. /r. There we go. Okay. Now I can see it. This is what I wanted to know. So it already has this TL attribute, which when we looked at this, we go out to get TL. This retrieval, the scene list, I think I already have it. So I think this network call is unnecessary. It's redundant. Sorry, you can't tell from there. Here we go. So back to line set. TL, these are the lines. That's what this is, it's a collection of lines. Every one of these is a line scene. And in fact, look at that. We've already got it. It already injected our own stamps. So there's a local, there's remote audio. And because there's no local audio, there's only a remote, it's saying this isn't the same. We don't have the audio. So we actually have all the metadata for the line scenes. We don't need this particular fetch call that's being made. But I don't think we end up making that call, do we? So we've already got TL. So here's, you know, yeah, you can see I've already parsed it out. Replica, local, or remote matches. Because we just pulled it down from the remote. So now that we're saving it locally, it matches the remote because we just got it from the remote, which is fine. And we have all the line scenes. And we've got their locals and remotes. So this is why it's going to fail over there, because it's going to say, look, yeah, okay. So what that means is we never should end up here. I mean, setting a breakpoint here is pointless, but we're not going to end up making this call. We're only going to end up making this call if we make a change locally so that our line set doesn't match anymore. And I think that's what I tested, right? It's possible. Yeah, we should never see this call at this point. This is only needed after synchronizations happened by the background synchronization, that some change either happened remote or happened local. And this guy hasn't caught up yet. This is why this polling approach to synchronizing is really messy. Because there's going to be points in which the synchronization is going to happen as a result of user actions directly. I added a line set locally. It's going to get pushed to the back end remotely. So now it's synced. But then this thing in the background is polling. It's sitting there going, is it different? Is it different? Every minute, so I'm going to check. And because the timing of that doesn't match the timing of user actions, it's really easy to get confused about what's what. And that's why we have these redundant calls here. So at some point, I'm just going to get rid of this polled-based synchronization. The synchronization only needs to happen at designated points of user action. Now, the assumption is you're using two devices. Let's say you're on your tablet and you're on your phone. And you're sitting there on your phone and you're updating the scripts on your tablet at the same time. Well, you're not doing any actions on the phone, so the phone's not receiving any of those changes unless it sits there and it polls periodically, which is what the logic is. But I think it's better to do synchronization checks, do replication checks at the point of user action, right? If you're just looking at the screen on your phone, you're not looking at your scripts. I mean, the idea is you would be inside the script view, the script is updated, and suddenly it would just pop in because it just got updated. I mean, it's your account, your device. You're doing it on two devices. Yeah, it's awkward. There's got to be a better way to do this. Okay, domain replication, same. So we're still just trying to get down to those audio files. The point is, this post happens. When this post happens and it comes back with actual data, instead of showing it on the screen, which is what I was doing before, I'm going to replace TL, because that's what this is. This replaces TL. But for the purpose of what I'm doing right now, it shouldn't need to be replaced. It's almost, I don't understand this network call. Why is there a separate network call? Wait a minute. Okay, well, this is the full data for the line scene. Why do we have this? this is the same network call being made. Did I see anything? Trace this? Be nice to just turn on general tracing of network calls. Disabled a lot of that spam. And I'm not routing everything through here. If I did route everything through here, it'd be easier to trace it. RS Network Manager. See, get scene list. Never hit this breakpoint. Get scene lists. My scripts. Single, multiple. It's like just cutting your way through a swamp. I'm not saying this is bad code. This is typical. This is typical application development. There's just really nothing out of the ordinary here. But this is reality. Without an active movement to constantly keep the chaos in check, you get chaos. Chaos is default. Every new feature, every fix, just added code. And a lot of redundancy. I got to figure out how to make progress with minimal changes here. I can't just go in and just start, lopping down the trees. I've got to carve a clean, a smart path through this to achieve what I want. Eventually, most of these trees are going to go away, but I can't do it now. The number of these to-dos is kind of daunting. Well, it's probably not a very good video to watch. Sorry about that. But, this is just I'm doing this for my own edification anyway. You don't have to watch it. At some point, I will go through these raw sessions. Actually, what I will do is after the fact, when this feature is done, is I'll make a nice produced video where I just go through all the changes. And it's more coherent. This is not coherent. This is a brain dump. Straight brain dump. How long have we been recording for? 1 hour already. Not making a lot of progress here. Well, I guess I had to get my brain jump started. All right, let's restore the stash. Get stash apply. I don't do a pop because I want to keep it in the stash just in case. So I'm going to apply it. Apply. Oh, it did it. It did apply it. Didn't it? Yes. Didn't look like it because I just made a copy of that function. Okay. So I'm thinking this is never going to get hit. This post is never going to get hit right now. So I'm thinking it's going to get here. It's going to be downloading. Right. At this point, we decide we're downloading something. Here we go into replicate scene. Aren't we going to iterate? Is that what we're doing? We have to iterate. We've got a collection here. We already have a way of getting the line scenes right here. Domain set lines. That's TL. That's giving us this. And we're going to iterate through each of these and update the ones that we need updating. That's the logic. If we look at the old logic, let's look at the old logic. Let's look at it on the Swift side. Oh, it's daunting. Not that, not that, not that. Where is it? Where's that synchronizer guy? There it is. We have this, we have the scene list. We've parsed it. Well, we don't parse it, we just keep it as JSON. We're going to see an iteration here, right? Check line set for info updates. Cloud line set, cloud modified. This is all of our comparison logic we're already doing. Compares the dates. Here we go. Here's where the iteration starts. And then he's got this mutable array sitting here. It's going to collect up lines that need to be deleted so he can do that after the fact. Gets the scene. If not, do a creation. Yes, of course. Something on the remote doesn't exist locally. And then call a separate download for the individual thing. This is the line set. Yeah, it's typical. It's CRUD here, right? Create, update, delete. Create, read, update, delete. Yeah, it's not that hard. It's not that bad. Why does this look like it's more than what I have over here? No, it's the same thing. Yeah, we should be able to do this. We can do this. It's not that bad. It's just a lot of verbiage. A lot of verbiage. Right. So I made a separate function here. Oh, this needs to be pluralized because it's called twice. Yeah, replicate line scenes. Replicate line set scenes. Line set lines. Line set line scenes, line set lines, line scene line scene lines. Well, they're called lines. I mean, TL, I'm guessing is line. Lines. So let's keep that. I'm getting domain set lines. I'm going to replicate line set lines, even though the class is called a line scene. I don't really have a class here anyway, so do I have to keep that name line scene? Line scene inside the line set? This is going to be replicate line set lines. Okay, we're passing in the line set. Right. That should be fine. We got the line set. We don't need script ID and script creation date. That is needed if we fetch this, which we're not doing. So we don't need to pass that on. We just need to pass on, yes. The only reason we have to make a separate function here is we're calling it in two places. We're calling it in the case in which we make the call, and we're calling it in the case in which we don't make the call. So here's what I was saying, like if I don't make the call here, this is where I have a new line set. From the existing line set. This is where it's going to get funky. Replicate line set brings in a line set. And here's what we've got: shared mutable state. This returns a Boolean and an app mutant. It doesn't return a new line set. Yuck. Now we've got resident data update issues. Where are we keeping this stuff around? How do we get it replaced? This is the question. So back to here. We synced line set for section. This is where it's held on. We go out to do a sync. At some point, that needs to be replaced. So this object is holding on to a reference to the line set. It's going to get a new one, if true. This thing's going to bail out. So how does this get replaced? Messy. There's a line set array for this script. I got rid of the whole section thing. So who's holding on to this guy? Line set array replaced. There it is. Current script, line sets, all objects. So current script. It's got a collection. I think this is a property on the implementation. I think there it is right there. Okay, so the view object holds onto a reference for what it calls the current script. Script is still a core data object. I haven't changed that. So now the core data object line sets are transient members of the script. They're not core data. They're not core data. They're not persisted in an ORM. So I need that script to get updated with its new line set if the line set gets replaced, which it will. So now I'm on the fence between ORM object and transient dictionaries as a way to move domain state around. Well, this is the whole value of the ORM, is it's both an in-memory management of shared objects as well as persistent storage. So I eliminated the persistent storage part, or I replaced it with file-based storage. What I haven't replaced is the idea of the object manager pattern, which is basically in-memory resident collection management of shared objects, shared data. The memory side of ORMs versus the storage side of ORMs. Ideally, in a functional style, I just want the data to be passed from place to place. So I have app state, and app state gets replaced and it lives on the app mutant. So app mutant has the current app state. The current app state is essentially the non-mutated or the copied global. And scripts are app state. Well, they're domain state. So something to think about. I'm going to pause for a moment. Am I pausing? I'm recording. All right, I'm back for reals. I'm gonna get a snack. All right, I thought about how I'm gonna do this. So we have the app. It's the idea of our global. I mean, an ORM is effectively. I mean, this current script thing is effectively. Well, I guess it's not global. It's local to the line, scene, reader, view. But for all practical purposes, it's global, local, global. I'm going to put a placeholder here because for this test, we don't really need this, but we definitely have to do that. So replace line set lines with dict, but we're not doing that. We know we need to do it, but we're not going to do it at this point because we already have it. We need to test that. All right. And then we're going to return replicate line set lines with the app mutant. What's funny is this is this line set really, I mean, dictionary is the line set. That's what it's getting from here. Because otherwise it would be getting just this subset. And that's really, like you can see, there's nothing else. There's this. With dict. Actually, let's put a or perhaps dict is the new line set. Line set lines. I've got to figure that out. I just feel like there's some redundancy here. I feel like it's saying get scene list. But that sounds like the same thing as the line set. That the line set is the scene list. So I got to figure this out. I got to figure it out. But for now, we know what's going to happen is it's going to pop down into here. So we're going to replicate line set lines. All right, so this is effectively done. And look at all this mess. Line set lines, we're not, all right, so we're gonna, line set. Line set lines. We have a line set. We don't need this, in theory. Find out. And here we're going to, we're going to do a for each on it. Right. And we already have that function to give us this. Domain set lines gives us a list of dictionaries. Okay, fine. So domain line set lines. Isn't that convenient? I don't have to type. Line set. We're doing a for each. For each. Yeah. Indexed. Do I care about an index? Is there an index in here? I don't think there's a name and there's dates. How does it identify itself? NS, NP 3, 8. I think that's the sort order. No, that's a 1. That's a 6. That's a 7. That's a 0. Oh, that is sort order. It's sorting alphabetically. Line 11 becomes 1, 1 because of the way it sorts. Ugh. Yeah. If we look at the domain description that we have for this, that's sort number. It's kind of dumb. Is that preserved if the user changes the order? I don't know. I'll have to look at that logic. So we're doing a for each. Boom. That simple. And what's going to happen is, remember, the completion is a Boolean, takes a Boolean, and the Boolean is to tell it whether or not, what is the Boolean? It's whether or not we whether or not we did a replication. We started replication. Yeah, this is whether or not we started replication. Why are we saying false here? God, what is the completion doing? Boolean what? Replicate line set lines. Replicate line set. If it's the same, we say false, we didn't return. Otherwise, we keep going. This completion is different than the actual return from the replicate line set call. It's the completion handler. What is the completion handler doing? Let's take a look. Guess we should just keep going on this. No, we want that breakpoint. Just keep going. Yeah. Actually, we didn't want the other breakpoint because it was useless. All right, so there we go. They showed up. Running to 2B. Okay, so the completion, it's whether or not it was replicated. If it was replicated, if it's not replicated, so it opens it basically if the replication completes. Makes sense. And then it reloads the data. So what happened is he went out to double click, it was going to expand the view. It was going, oh no, it's out of date. Replica's not the same. Start the asynchronous replication process and don't do anything. Synchronous replication process starts up. And once it completes, it says, look, if I did replicate, index of line set, reset chosen row, and then just reload the data. So it's really just going to reload the data. Almost doesn't really matter what this is. But I guess that was the original logic. Now here I said I didn't replicate. Here, if there was an error, I also didn't replicate. Right. So in here, I don't know yet. Actually, this is going to be true. This is going to be true because technically this is a replication because we were out of date. So that's actually going to be true there, regardless of the trueness passed in from this guy. But replicate line set lines only happens, so it's going to be true from this point on. That completion handler is going to be true no matter what. Yeah. So when we're done with this, we're going to go through all this, but we don't get called here if we don't have a replication happening. God, I really don't like making this like its own function. It doesn't feel right. Because it's hard to follow the context. I almost feel like it should be made into a lambda here. It's just unnecessary overhead if these two don't get called. The only time it's going to get called is if there's an error. I shouldn't perform its tune ahead of time. Yeah, let's make it a lambda. Let's make it a local function. It's not like this is going to be tested as an independent function. And see, I think that's what's confusing in code. You start to pull out functions at the same top level as if they're valid to be called from that level. This is not. This is subservient. It's subservient to the other function. It's only going to be called from that function. And I'm pretty sure in Kotlin you can declare functions within functions. It's a local function. Now, what is a function definition? Nothing but a lambda assigned to a variable that just has a binding to it. So I could say val, I could just say val replicate line set lines equals. I mean, what's the difference between that and a function declaration? That is a function declaration, right? At mutant, line set, completion. Like that, right? So I could literally just put the function in here. I don't need a top level function declaration. So I don't need all this. This is all a bunch of garbage. Yeah. I know it's confusing. I'm gonna clean all this crap up. So for now, let's just put a big. Let's just wrap all this crap in there. All the old and all the new. Actually, no, this is really confusing. I'm sorry, this is really confusing. If you're still watching and following this, I apologize. This is confusing me. Let's just get rid of this. I understand the logic of what I need to do. I'm gonna recopy this over from the Swift side because it's really confusing as to what's what here. Let's just see if this compiles. Implement me. Let's just compile it. Compile it. Let's get choke on something. Build running. Build running. Canifer type. So can I make it a function declaration inside? Can I say fun? Fun. Replicate lines. Let's just copy these guys. Just copy this whole thing. Can I make a local function declaration in Kotlin? I'm just going to say replicate lines because we're in the line set. Yo. Can we do this? Are we okay to do this? It's going to let us. See if it barfs. Unresolved reference. Lines. Okay, I can make a local function. I like it. Replicate lines. Replicate lines. Do I want to call it replicate? Yeah. We only need to do this because they're getting called in two places. I don't know why do I need this let am? Platform functions. Oh, that's because we may have a new app mutant coming back from the platform function, present HUD. So that is required for this to be logically correct. Sorry, I know it's a little hard to read. Let's bring this down. Use the whole screen, man. Do I need this? No. So you get rid of that. Now we're all the way to the left side of the screen. Maybe we want to insert this over. Here we go. If return, otherwise present the HUD. And we got to take app mutant gets returned from this, becomes the new app mutant, which we then have a return down here, right? Is this legal? Does this look legal? I don't like this large block indented thing. Pipe operator would be nice, although I would still probably indent, wouldn't I? I mean, this is effectively a pipe operator here, this let. Passing the previous result as into the next expression. All right, let's see what we got. Unresolved reference, because I renamed it. It's just lines, man, it's just lines. Should I call it replicate lines? It's not really the same as the top level function. Iterate lines. This whole thing is replicate. Evaluate lines. Examine lines. Replicate lines. Well, we know we have to replicate something, because if we don't, we're out of here. We have this early exit, right? If it's the same, we're gone. Nothing to do. So it's not the same. We know it's not the same. So we have to start, we have to turn this on. And this is a subservient local subfunction. Compilation error. What don't you like? Type mismatch. Inferred type is unit. Huh? Oh. It needs to return the modified app mutant. It's not doing that, is it? We gotta have the same return type. Don't I? Wait. This is happening asynchronously. So this is coming back app mutant Boolean. Oh, wait. Per type is unit, but app mutant was expected. Oh, this closure here. The return type of this closure expects a new app mutant. This completion is not what's being returned. So it just needs an app mutant. Let's just have an app mutant and we'll be okay. Return AM. We don't have to say return in Kotlin if it's the last argument. We do have to say it in Swifty Swift. Don't send. What now? Block body. Oh. What? Can I say equals? I do have to say return. I keep thinking I'm in a functional language, but I'm not. Still an imperative OO language that tries to pretend like it's functional some of the time. Okay, that just got us through compiling this scaffolding here. It didn't really accomplish much. All right. So going through every one of these lines, so we're getting the individual lines, and let's look at all this code. Instead of copying in, let's just take a look at what we need to do. We're going to compare the individuals, right? We're going to, whichever guy is out of date, I'm not going to worry about the C and the D part of CRUD. I'm just going to deal with U. I'm just going to assume there's no change to the collection for now. We'll have to deal with that later. For now, handle C, D. Later. All right. Well, now we're just doing a straight update. We're going to be doing the same exact test that we did here. It's almost kind of like this feels redundant. Like we just did this test where we compared every one of them to give us a single Boolean answer. Is the whole thing the same? And the answer is no. Now we break down and go, okay, is the top level the same? Is the bottom level the same? This feels, well, that's a way to know that we're going to do these early exit. Yeah, it's redundant. I'm okay with this level of redundancy for now. So where's the other replication stuff? Or replication, is it in here? No. The domain is domain. Domain replica same. There we go. Line set. Domain line set replica same. Domain. Oh, here we go. Domain line scene replica same. Since this keeps throwing me off, line scene. Yeah, it's up here. Right. So it's just this comparison. And what it's going to do is it's going to find out that the audio doesn't match. So this is kind of what I need to do. I need this logic. And I need to distinguish the metadata from the audio file itself. Yes. So did I actually copy that? Paste. So I need to distinguish the top level. And I'm just going to deal with the audio for now. I'm just going to defer this. If I don't get that working, then the rest of it doesn't really matter. Yeah, we're kind of prying it apart, aren't we? Kind of prying it apart. Sort of a kind of a duplication of logic. Yuck. I'm going to make a comment about that. I'm going to put a refactor to do. Prying apart. Pried apart this. So we're going to have an if in here. For each is going to be an it, right? I guess we could say line. Let's call it line. It's a little obscure. For each line. So if not, this, we're gonna defer. And then if not this, this is where we're gonna actually get the audio file. That's the goal here. And then after this is all done, this is the problem with a chain of asynchronous calls. This is going to be fun. Okay, we're to doing this. Deal with later. This is the guy that we really care about the most. So we know that the audio doesn't rematch the signature, the replica value for audio, which is a date, doesn't rematch local because we don't have local. There is no local. And give us the local. So now let's look at the actual, whoops, sorry, that's something entirely different. Let's look at the actual stuff where it pulls down that. Okay, so cloud line scene is synced. It does this comparison. Modified date. This is the logic we already have. Checking for audio updates. This is essentially the same thing. This is comparing those dates. Now it goes in on, now it's going to say download cloud line scene. So this is kind of the CRUD update logic. This is replacing. This is I will need to deal with this, but right now the important one is this here. All right, this is what we're trying to get to. Download line scene. So I'm guessing this is going to be just a post. Let's look at download line scene. There it is. There's quite a bit of stuff there. So it does need the script ID and the creation date. It is still going to need that. Same set of parameters as before. Get scene. So it looks the same thing. And what does it do if it succeeds? Unzip data. File helper. All right, that's going to be interesting. And there we got this. Yeah. All right, it's a little tricky. But it looks like it has the same set of parameters as the line set itself. So it looks like we can duplicate that. I don't know why this is all like that. So I'm guessing we can duplicate this. Remote post. And it's an example of something that needs to be better generalized. But it's pretty much the same thing. An individual call for each one of these where they don't match. So just copy it. Just going to copy it. All right. Oh, this is Kotlin doing this is the IDE doing its auto formatting. That's why it did that to me. Don't like you doing that. This is greater than 80. It's 90. Okay, fine. Yeah, this is kind of annoying. Prefer it like that. In fact, this else doesn't need to be bracketed. I don't like unnecessary, sorry, I just prefer the Lisp way. We don't need all that. This is a function, so it has to be contained within a block. Block, 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 block. This could probably be made a single guy. Fewer horizontal lines. I'm okay with that. All right, so remote post, we don't need this. Sorry, let's see this going on here. Remote post, so we now have a different URL get scene. Yeah, I'm not gonna find that. Xcode's not gonna show me where that is. It's in something called constants somewhere. Constants. And the old standby, find grep. Let's just look everywhere in source. Because Xcode, you are of no help. Where is it? Yeah, legacy, Objective-C, NSObject consts. Get scene list. Get scene. Ah, there we go. Get scene list. Yeah. It's a different call. Well, that's pretty simple. All of our stuff is under app value instead of constants. Remote URL suffix get scene. Get your scene here, get your scene here. All right. Get scene. This is where we're confusing line scene and line scene. We do need these guys. Actually, you know what's interesting is this function inside should have visibility to these arguments, right? Since it's a sub-function. The app mutant needs to be passed in. The completion does not need to be passed in. The line set itself does not need to be passed in. Just the app mutant. I should have visibility to the same parameters, which are immutable. So I should be able to simplify it like that. Maybe at some point app mutant's going to go away, but for now I'm still using it. Yeah. Yeah, it's lexical scoping of these guys. What happened here? What happened here? Did I accidentally delete that line? Looks like a line got wiped. Yeah. What did I do? When did that happen? Oops. That was weird. Okay. So we're assuming, okay, so if it's not the same, we're gonna deal with that later. So now we're looking at the audio. We're posting, passing the same things. We could commonalize that. It's really kind of the same call. Actually, what's interesting is this is identical. Regardless, this is identical. So we do need to make this a common call, I think. Let's do that. I'm already feeling like I need to draw it. I mean, yeah, they're like, oh, 3 times and then you draw 3 or more. No, right here. Look at how complex this code is here. There's a lot going on, and to have this exact kind of almost identical block of code duplicated, and then having to figure out what's different between them. No, I need to do that now. So we'll make it its own local function. We're just going to say remote post. Remote post. Platform functions remote post. Yeah. The only thing different here is literally the URL suffix and then the success handler. So remote post mutant suffix string URL suffix, and then the success handler. And what is the signature of the success handler? It looks like it's just something that takes an @mutant and yeah, and our dictionary. All right, it's getting a little chunky here. Let's go ahead and do it like that. URL suffix string. All right, let's just say @mutant for now. So here we go. Looks like this. And we're going to generalize this. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's try that. Plus URL suffix. Right, so this is what's generalized. This is identical regardless of the call that I make. Here is where we pass in the actual handler. Do we need line set? No, this is success. Error is the same. So success is, yeah. @mutant. Success handler looks like that, right? So here we just simply say success. The error is the same. Whoops. Success am dict. So we've generalized the backend call. Remote post, error string. So if any of these calls fail at anywhere down below here, we're shuttering the HUD, right? And we're bailing. We're calling completion and we're out of here. We are returning the app mutant. Present info dialog error, return the app mutant, we're out. This look right? I think this looks right. And I think I could say return. See? I like that. Single call. And in fact, we can just do that. I like that even better. Look at that. That's what I call concision. It's a single function. Is that readable? Remote post equals remote post. So it's kind of a delegate. I know this looks kind of ugly, right? It's kind of nicer to have, but you get this whole line for just AM there. And AM is almost just feels like a, I don't know, it's just kind of carried along all the way through like a monad. Is that what a monad is? Probably not. And what was the benefit of doing that? Well, now I can just say here, remote post. AM. What was the other thing? The prefix, suffix, and then the actual success handler, which Kotlin would have us do like this. We kind of have us do it as, but I don't like it. I would prefer to keep it with this syntax. Isn't that cleaner? So failure is going to be the same no matter what. Success is it's going to, look at that. See how much closer these are together? That's much cleaner, much cleaner. I almost feel like I could collapse away this function declaration. I mean, this unnecessary, redundant declaration of types. Well, replicate lines at mutant. Lines, oh yeah, I don't need to pass this, yeah. Haha. That's a nice thing about having a local function within a function. It has visibility to its arguments. Wow, it's getting cleaner and cleaner. Look at that. Getting shorter. All right, so if domain replication same. I wonder if I could even declare the function after, then it flows a little bit better. I'm on the fence about forward declaring, about declaring functions before defining functions before they're called versus the ability to do it after. I mean, before is necessary on a one-pass compiler or interpreter. This is obviously not a one-pass compiler interpreter, but I'm leaning towards that. Okay, so this we got simpler. We said remote post. Same thing, AM. Same thing, different suffix. And different success logic, but the error logic, the failure logic is the same. All right. Yeah, that's better. That's better. And I'm seeing this kind of a pattern we're seeing here. And I would still feel like it would be nicer to look at it like this. I don't know if the compiler is going to let me get away with that. Well, no, because look, the return. Yeah. I really like having it more of a pipeline. All right, we're going to have some compile errors. Let's get the compile errors out of the way here. Expecting expression, so yeah, we got crap here. For each, what did we not complete here? Remote post, probably that. I mean, I could put this on a line like that. It really is its own parameter. It's a lambda. Let's keep it like that. Okay. All right. What do you not like now? You're all suffix. Let's try that. What don't you like? What don't you like? Success. Yeah, well, there's dict. Oh, dict doesn't exist at this point. Oh, of course. Of course. No, I can just pass this. It's the same signature. I don't call it, I just pass the function. There we go. And then here, well, line. Actually, let's call it dict. That way we know it's a dictionary. Because it's not really its own type. We assume it's a line, but type-wise it's dictionary. So, yeah, I kind of prefer to do it like that. Although line set's kind of coming in the same way, isn't it? Line set dict. Domain replication, same. Yeah. All right, fine. We'll give it a semantic name. I guess that's makes it a little more consistent. Okay. Oh, well, this isn't what we actually want to do. Now we want to do the thing of, I guess I should put AM in here. Implement me now. Implement me now. So we're going to have something new here because we're now getting binary data coming back. We're getting the zip file coming back. And I'm going to see how to deal with that. Okay, let's just get through the compile phase. There we go. All right. So now I could actually, this might be where it would make sense to post the info dialog. To show that what we're actually pulling down. So let's do a get diff. Yeah, this guy right here. I am gonna shutter the HUD. So I just want to get the first one, not iterate through all of them. So we'll just get through the first one just so we can test this. All right. Yeah. I want to see what we get back, JSON. And we do want to shutter the HUD at this point so we can continue on. This thing is doing this auto tab shit, which I thought I disabled. Auto insert and other stuff. Frustrating. Don't like it. Don't like it. Don't like it. For reals. Instead of debug. I'm going to call a completion handler at this point. Bail out, right? So this should, does this call the completion handler? Yeah, let's do it. Let's call the completion handler and then collapse out of here. And for each. Well, this is an example of doing a reduce, where I'd want to skip all the others. So really I want to do a fold. Initial value is going to be true. This is going to return false. And I ain't going to do any of this. Continue. Line, not continue. Accumulator. I don't know which one's the accumulator on a fold. We're going to fold this operation. We'll return true unless it gets there. I just want it to stop. So let's do a return true. No, return true. We'll return false. I'm going to return AC. That's right. Initial value is true. Return AC, accumulator. In this case, I return false. The accumulator will be false again. So really, I don't want to do this. I only do it once. So I really want to say if not. Now if ACC, if true, and this is a hack. Hackety hack hack. A lot of to-dos here. God. Prevent doing this more than once. Although actually what's going to happen is it's going to, yeah, I don't want the false here because remote post is at async. I'll throw false here. I only want to do that. Yeah. Let's put this in here. If we haven't done, basically this accumulator is going to tell us whether we did this once or twice. Yeah, if accumulator. It's pretty messy, isn't it? I'm making it simpler. This is a temporary. So instead of doing a for loop, what we've got is we've got a fold. This fold is going to iterate over every one of these and accumulate a value each time. It's going to start out with true. So it's going to come through here and it's going to say, if these conditions are met and we're about to do the post, basically true, we haven't done it before. Actually, let's start with false and then do true. I kind of like starting with 0, meaning we haven't done it yet. We haven't done it yet. So we kind of accumulated nothing. So we're going to say if not accumulated, actually, let's rename the accumulator to posted. So we start out false, we haven't posted. That makes more sense. So now we're going to say if not posted, which will be the first time we remote post, and then we return false. And this is going to set our, since we're folding, we're always returning a result. The result that we're returning is a Boolean, which gets posted. So the next one is we're going to return true. We're going to return true. True. Otherwise, we return the previous posted value. That should cause, look at this, return. That should cause us to only execute once. So it'll continue to iterate over the whole list, but it's only going to do one post because this is going to be an asynchronous pop-up. I don't want it to pop up and then pop up and then pop up and pop up, and I don't want it calling this completion more than once. So when it does the post, asynchronously, it's going to go off, it's going to do this, it's going to show to the HUD, complete false. It's never going to do this more than once. And it's only going to show to the HUD if it makes this call, and it should make this call only if we go into here, and we should only go into here if this condition isn't true. All right. Woof. Let's see what happens. Okay, inferred type is unit, but mismatch. Let am. How did I do it up here? Present info dialog. Oh, I did the completion before the info dialog. Okay. Oh, I show to the HUD. Why is this nested down? All right, logic is I show to the HUD, then I do the completion, and then I present the info dialog. Okay. Like that, symmetric, right? Show to the HUD, call the completion handler, present the info dialog. Show to the HUD, call the completion handler, show info dialog. In this case, it's showing. This is. I mean, I would dry this logic here, except This is the debug. This is a debug. It's not going to exist in the long term. Instead of this debug. All right. So I'm going to dry that. This will be the only instance of that, hopefully. All right. It's kind of tight. Tight. Ooh, let's update. Copyright. All right. I'll compile. No, return true. The Boolean label does not conform to type admin. What am I returning from? I'm returning from this fold. Feeling something's not matching up here. Turn true. Oh. No, but I'm inside this closure. I'm returning from this closure. Aren't I? Yeah. This closure is not expected to return an app mutant. So why does it do that? What if I don't say return and I just say true? I don't think that's going to work. Oh, closure is not supposed to say return. Huh? So return is needed for a declared function, but not for, oh yeah, of course. Closures and lambdas have an implicit return type. That's just dumb. I mean, why is it that a bound named function has to say return? Does it? If you don't use an equals. So if you use an equals, that's your return value, is this result. But if you have a defined function, yeah, it's just not good. That's not good. You have a block, you have to say return. Closures have an implied, yeah. Posted. I don't need that. Don't need it. Okay, compiles. Well, what do you think? Is it going to run? How many hours are we in? Oh, 2:23. I'm going to stop after this if it works. Is it going to work? I don't know. Let's find out. Seems pretty dodgy. Let's go. Here we go, here we go, here we go. It's building, it's building. All right. Boom, boom, boom. Here we go. Replicate line set. Start the sync. Okay, we know we're hitting that. We don't know about any of this. Go. Oh, we got an answer. Oh, this is the closure, maybe. Boom, get seen. Error code. Active subscription false. Zip code. Wow, look at that. Okay, you guys are saying a lot of, like dockable information on me. Like this is not anything that's not public though. It's just not showing my password. No valid input scene date. All right, so I didn't like that. It also seems like it executed more than once. No valid input scene date. Uh-huh. Well, script ID creation date. Was it different? Scene date, not script ID. Ah, I see. Okay, so it is a different parameter. Creation date's the same. So we have a little bit of a different parameter here. Okay, not quite the same. Script ID, script creation date, scene date. All right, and scene date is coming from, well, the script ID has to be passed in, but the scene date should be part of the JSON we already have. Is it scene creation date? I'm going to guess it's scene creation date is the same thing. Line scene, scene creation date. Yeah. It's this guy. Okay. I need to add that. There's a modified date. I need a creation date. Mainline scene creation date. Or created date, creation date. It's ND. All right, that takes care of that. Good. And on our replication guy here, we need to modify this parameter. So we'll need to pass, we're not using script ID, are we? Scene date creation. So we still have scene, that's weird. It still has script creation date. So this is the same, but instead of script ID, we're using scene date. All right. All right. Let's go ahead and just put the parameters in. There's a map of string to any, right? That's what it is, string to any. Remote post. Parameters is just a dictionary. It's the same dictionary. Okay. Let's just make parameters. Yeah, let's just make parameters. Yeah. Sick. Is typing faster than cut and paste? Sometimes. Not right now, though. Yeah, there's something common, but instead of trying to figure out the common thing, let's just go parameters. All right, so this is for this guy. Yeah. And the other one's a little bit different. Where is it? There. Right. And it's scene date. Scene date. Does the order matter? I don't think it matters. Where were we? Network manager. Creation date, scene date. Scene date. I'll just match it. I don't think it matters. But might as well make it alphabetical. line scene date in this case is going to be, this is where we go, domain, line scene creation date. That like didn't help at all. That like man didn't like create like line scene creation date. And the line scene is line. Ah, man. Let's try that. Creation date, scene date. Creation date, scene date. Script ID, creation date. Try again. All right, compiles. See if it runs. Boom, ba-doom, ba-doom, ba-doom. I gotta play some music tonight. That's a non sequitur. Come on, build and run, build and run, build and run. Let's see what we get. Coop. Coop. Boop. Boop. I don't think the accumulator is working. No valid input. No valid input script ID. No valid input script ID. No valid input script ID. We're not passing script ID. Are we? Parameters. Let's put all this on the same line. There we go, it's under 80. Is it ending up down here? No, it's doing multiples, so it's going through here, but this accumulator's not working. Fold, posted. If not posted, not post, true. Shouldn't be calling this more than once. Script ID, get scene list. This one's get scene. Get scene. The other one's get scene list. Download line scene. Get scene list for script. Here we have script ID, get scene list. Parameters, params. Script ID. Oh, no, it does require script ID. It just additionally requires, okay. My eyes just glazed right over this. That's hilarious. Okay, so 2 sets of parameters. So parameters plus parameters. All right. Parameters plus parameters. All right, let's try this again. That makes a little more sense. All right, we're gonna do this. Plus parameters. I don't know if I can do a plus on 2 maps. I'm assuming I probably can. Let's put this actually. How should we call it? Extra parameters? Extra parameters? Extra parameters? We're going to make this equal to empty map. So the first guy doesn't need them. Default doesn't really work, does it? I guess we'll just say empty map. Empty map. We don't need a default on here. It's kind of silly. Because we're always going to be providing the next guy, which is you can't have a default and now followed by a parameter that doesn't take a default. All right, so extra parameters. Then we only need scene date. Will that compile? Let's find out. Now, really? I expected to give me crap about that. I could just put a plus sign. Overloaded plus operator for dictionaries. Dictionary plus dictionary. Okay. Okay. Seems to be okay with it. Let's try again. Yeah, this is what happens when you get weird tabbing. I didn't even see that. I just saw this. Just ignored all this. Oops. All right, boom, boom, boom. Okay, I think that's correct. It's still weird that the accumulator on the full doesn't seem to be working, but it is trying to get non-JSON data, which is what we want. We just can't display it in the info dialog because there's this helper here, response data, unzip. Yeah, so this is what I have to write. But I think basically the idea is it is going through, it is making this call and is doing what we want it to do. So last but not least, we're going to implement the unzipping on the Kotlin side, or we'll pass it over to the through the platform functions procedures to the Swift side and let it do the work. Probably going to do that. Probably not going to write all this. I have to see what this looks like. File helper. Just take a peek at it. File helper. That is going to be Objective-C because we're in Objective-C. System. It's not UI. Foundation? No. It wouldn't be core data. It's not core data. I mean, I'm guessing. PDF? Where's file helper? Well, there's one. Where's file helper? It's UI. Why is it UI? Because it pulls in. I move stuff around depending on what its dependencies are. So why would a file helper be dependent on the app? Why is this dependent on the app? Import file helper.h. Foundation. Looks to me like it doesn't need to be in UI app. Why did I put it there? I think I need to move it. There we go. Bing. Good way to make your code not reusable. Pin yourself to the God object. Does it need to be? Because it's making assumptions about. I mean, there must be a reason for it being in there. Yeah. That's why it's here. It has a dependency on the application object. And that's why it's got to live here. Look at all this. Oh, I disabled it. Oh, look at that. Because it's related to, yeah, yeah. This will probably be fine. Well, no, it's, look at all that. Okay. I got my work cut out for me. Da, 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 da. Line scene is not core data anymore. Okay. That's it for now, for today. That's progress. I'm not going to make you watch any longer if you dared to go this far into me checking in stuff into Git. So, with that, I bid you farewell and I wish you the best of luck.